The idea, is that the sentimental person thinks things will last. The romantic person has a desperate confidence that they won't. F. Scott Fitzgerald. Wow, you guys like that one, didn't you? I see Jason like, what the hell was that?
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I didn't expect relationship advice. Yeah.
Sentimental weepy time is what we're going to do today. So we are against the grain. Myself, Jeff Black, we got Chase Theobald, we got Jason Roberson on the pod. Today we're going to do another Q&A. And to be honest with you all, if you guys are listening, it could be a surprise and our guests could join us, at which point we will make a massive pivot over, but we think there was just a miscommunication. So worst case, we'll just rebook it. But we had some questions stocked up that we figured we tackle. But real quick, guys, still like two quick things about your last 7 days. And Robo, I'll kick it off with you. I like starting with you. You set the tone for simplicity, sir.
Yeah, went up to see some family in Indiana for Thanksgiving, which was good, and had the dilemma. I spent it with my sister and my 3 nephews under 7, whether or not to destroy them in basketball or whether I allow them to win. I let them win, but I've kind of decided when they become teenagers, that's when it stops and I have to destroy them.
Man, that's a lot of pressure on me to keep you healthy for like another 6-7 years to be able to do this. Damn. All right. Well, I like
There's a basketball goal in my parents' backyard. I played on that for 13 years. You don't have to keep me healthy. I own that court.
You know what's funny is that's a typical uncle move where Jason, I'll be honest, as a father, I failed. When Jared talked shit to me one time about Madden, I ran the score up 82 to like 10 on him. And then the deal was he said he would lick a cat turd if he did it. Well, once I won, he ran into the bedroom crying and like shut the door. And what I did was I went into the litter box and slid a cat turd underneath the door and just heard him shriek and cry. But yeah, all right, Uncle Move. I
mean, I don't know. Where do you guys stand on that? I feel like you should just beat them. I mean, my grandpa
him, teach him what it's about.
I don't know if it taught me much. I feel like when my dad and I would do things, he wouldn't let me win, and it kind of pushed me to kind of like make sure I eventually would beat him. So I don't know.
When you're 7, I feel bad. It's not even fair.
I'm seeing Robo
I get it. But I mean, did you guys play horse or anything, or you let him beat me on that too?
He can't shoot from more than about 6 or 7 feet back from the basket. So that wouldn't really be fair either.
Did you stuff him at least once or twice and like let the ball hit him in the head and ring him a little bit? Kind of like let him know it could happen?
No, I did the whole like dribble over his head because he's so small. Yeah. There's some demeaning moves in that game.
All right. Well, at least you set the tone that there was possibilities for some bullshit that he would experience. So that's good.
Yeah.
Scoob, your last 7 days?
Unplugged. Pretty much really unplugged Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that was nice. There was Thanksgiving. We had some fam in town. It was nice. And then the boys were here. And so we did the dinner, and then we did some charades and Pictionary. And that was always a fun time. And that was about it, man. It's just a lot of rest, relaxation. And so that's about it.
Badass, man. Thanksgiving was good for me, family, all that. Watched my Cowboys win. But for me, my big news is after interviewing 14 fucking book cover designers, I finally met one that I really liked and decided to give money to be able to build this out, to get this done. So
the deal.
Yeah, she's from Australia. Super funny woman. She's like, what the fuck's going on? This like in her Australian accent. I'm not even gonna attempt to butcher it. Is going on the stage. She wanted to like talk about all this weird shit. I was like, can we just focus on like this book? I'm quick on that. So I should have a cover to share with you guys in like 2 weeks. I know I shared some and there was one we really liked. I sent that to her and she's like, oh, I can see why. And she's going to kind of work on that because I've got to work on the spine.
You need to be cleaner and
it's got to be
missing. The title wasn't exactly, but the pictures were good. Like it tells the story. Like it tells, you know what I mean? So
and the black and the red background with the bone was pretty sharp. She agreed. So she thought the title was money, but she's like, the cover matters so much because she was telling me, she's like, picture sells. She's like, I don't think Goggins' book would have sold if it wasn't him and his military officer uniform on the cover. And I was like, that's probably 100% accurate because Can't Hurt Me. And then you see a picture like that, you immediately wonder what the two mean. So anyway, well, I want to go over real quick, guys. We have a charity seminar here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is February 9th and 10th, a Friday and a Saturday. All money will benefit the East Tennessee, or actually not East Tennessee, sorry, Middle Tennessee Children's Hospital. Vanderbilt is who we are going to be working with. They do a lot of research on osteogenesis imperfecta and are one of the leading hospitals in it for my bone disease, especially with pediatrics. So our goal is to raise $10,000. We're going to be selling tickets for $101. So that way it goes through on the PayPal and all that stuff. And that way it reserves your seat. So our goal is to present a $10,000 check. We're looking to fill it up. You guys can go ahead and make your travel arrangements. This is for sure done. The payment sign up link starts next week. If you hear this podcast, you probably want to buy your ticket ASAP to it, because we are going to hold firm on the 100 seats. There's Robo can attest, since I relayed my gym out, it's going to be 100 people squeeze. So with all the equipment, we don't have any more. So please don't ask last minute, because I'm going to have to say no on a great cause you should have asked early about. With that being said, I think myself and Scoob can say 40 to 45 of the tickets are already spoken for. So you guys are already running at half capacity. We've never done anything like this. And I assume it's the lineup, which I'm going to get to. Laura Conlin, preventing weight regain, understanding metabolic adaptations and what to do about them. John Gorman, combining rapid fat loss and diet breaks for fast dieting. Ben Azadi, metabolic flexibility is the key to longevity. Ladies and gentlemen, his book, The Keto Flex, and his podcast, Keto Camp, are great. We've interviewed him before. He's going to come back on, but that he's going to be one to definitely listen to. Brandon DeCruz, The Lean Gains Blueprint, Nutrition for Maximizing Muscle Growth. Jason Roberson, Financial Management, Decision-Making and Building to Sell. I'm interested to see how you put that one together, Robo. I'm really excited to see that one.
It's all the same thing.
And then fat loss, Jason Theobald, fat loss resistance. What's really going on? Cameron Cheek, setting your standard, guiding those to success and becoming undeniable. Cameron is a hot and upcoming coach, so you're definitely going to be interested to hear his perspective, especially from an old timer like myself. Daniel Coffeen, he is out of J3 University. Common posing mistakes, your quarter turns. He's actually going to do a seminar for men and women. That will be announced beforehand. We're going to allow the gym will stay open for that, so no worries, but he's going to plan all that. Lacey Dunn, how to maximize gut health, outcomes, and health in athletes. Justin Haley, bringing the fucking fire. That's all I wrote. Taylor DeHaas, learn the steps to take at each income bracket to scale and sustain 83K months. That's our topics. Those are presenters. I stepped out, ladies and gentlemen, so we could bring Taylor on. She had reached out after talking to Jason and asked for a spot. So I'll be on the next one. I pinky promise. But with the new changes and 100 people, first time ever we're going to go for this, I want to be able to kind of guide the event and host it. So with that being said, go ahead and get your plane tickets and hotel. Iron House Strength and Conditioning, 3664A, Central Pike, Hermitage, Tennessee, 37076 is where it will be at. Now, with that being said, we have a couple questions and answers we figure we get to, and our guest is not joining us, so we're just going to roll with this. What is weight loss resistance? I've seen you guys talk about this on their socials and mention it in various podcasts. Jay, do you want to take the ball? I mean, you just got done. You're going to actually talk about this kind of for a topic. So do you want to kind of give a little overview on that, and I'll sprinkle in the rest before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, you can call it really what you want, but I mean, it's just kind of a phenomenon where people are doing what usually always worked for them, whether that's like a certain, caloric deficit, a certain amount of cardio training, and their body's not responding like it used to. And so there's resistance there to burning fat. Usually this results in them doing more activity, more training, more cardio, and it just makes the situation worse. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what's going on. Your old ways aren't really working.
What are the kind of clients you see who present themselves to you usually with this?
At least for me, it's a lot of women like 40 to like 55 that are having this problem. It takes time, I think, to kind of build up because, they might do, two diets a year for 10 years. And, if they're going very low calorie and that always worked for them, but during that, you're kind of hollowing yourself out, meaning you're losing muscle as you burn fat and lose weight. And every time you do that, you're becoming less efficient. So like it really stems from like not really doing things necessarily the right way. And over time, you're just so metabolically inefficient that it's almost impossible to create a deficit. So sure, if they'd eat 500 calories, they'd probably drop. But I mean, who can do that? And then that's going to hollow them out more, right? So then it's just going to perpetuate the situation. So
when those people come to you, they usually have a pain point that they found that other people don't listen to them or hear them correctly on. Because I have, with the very few I've had, I know you have a bigger drawing of that than I do, but you've helped me with some of mine, and we've chatted ways through on different stuff. So, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think a lot of them have sought out help, maybe medically, and their labs, at least the labs that the doctors, are used to running, don't really show anything. If you do a CBC, CMP, maybe a TSH, a T4, those are kind of standard panels. You're not really going to find much, So then a lot of them have been told, well, it's part of aging. You're going to get the bulge here and there, and you look great. You're in weight, and a lot of them are like in an okay weight, but they've got, their lower bellies growing, and the hips and glutes, and they don't want that. They want it to not be that way, and so they seek out other help. So a lot of them have kind of fallen on deaf ears, for sure.
Yeah, I just found that, like, when they come, they are often just looking for someone to hear them and want to walk out what they want to walk out. And some of the tools that, we've talked about, from using keto dieting to diet variability to even semaglutide, different stuff like that people use to get things moving. It's definitely tools in the toolbox. I actually have a question for you, because I got to ask, are you burying copper? Because your beard is so dark.
I am not. I dyed it. I was sick of being gray.
No
Yeah,
shit.
maybe you should take notes.
No,
Yeah.
fuck you. I'm cool with it. I mean, I've actually thought about like dyeing mine, but the problem is, like, Jason's got different hair color than I do. Like mine, I don't know, it's real streaky compared to what yours was, going more gray than mine was, right? Than mine is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
I was like, what? Streaky. It just kind of makes you look kind of washed out. It was kind of gray, kind of still blonde in areas and brown in areas. So I tried it, and there's actually, like, if you just go into like CVS, I didn't know this, but like the things that you mix up, like it's one and done, and you barely use any of it because it's just a beard. If you can get shit online, literally for people with beards, and it just comes out of a mousse pump, and so like it mixes on the brush, and so the bottle stays good. So you got like 20 applications, you don't have to keep throwing them away. So it's pretty easy. You just trim it up and just push it on, in 20 minutes it's darker. So
dude, totally.
Yeah, man.
Well, I didn't know, because I know you're doing NAD, and I know you're doing copper, and I know when you start taking copper, you lose some gray and start getting darker. I did notice that for myself.
Got it.
So, anyway, all right. Best supplements you can put together for under $200. So I'm going to assume, Jason, why don't you take the general health route, and I'll take the workout side, and then maybe Robo. Do you want to give like what you find value in as like a general consumer? And then we could kind of like have like different views on what we look at. So Jay, I'm going to throw that one to you real quick on the health side.
So what I assume, it's kind of like maybe someone who's not necessarily into bodybuilding, but they're like a fitness enthusiast. Is that what we're kind of, because that's our general.
I'm going to give you that one, and I'm going to take the bodybuilding one, and then I'm going to let Robo take the,
so like a general fitness enthusiast.
Yeah.
Okay. I find that a lot of people are too much omega-6 in terms of, the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. So I think a good fish oil is excellent to bring down inflammation and correct areas there. I think a good whey isolate protein is very helpful for your needs to just get your protein in. A lot of people don't have time to, make all this protein and meat and chicken. So I think that's really important. Let's see what else. General enthusiasts, we got to stay under $200. Man, that's hard without knowing like what are their issues. I mean, you can easily stay completely general and say, get a nice multivitamin, because food is just not what it used to be, things like that. But then, are they having trouble sleeping? It's hard to really answer, man. Fish oil, protein powder, multivitamin. It's pretty boring stuff, dude, without me kind of having a more direction to go.
All right, then I'll tell you what, I'll throw you a hard one. Male 40+ who's on TRT therapy and looking to get healthy as fuck.
again, what are his issues?
All right, fine, fair. We're just gonna kick this over to me. I'm gonna take the bodybuilding one.
All right.
Intracarb, I think, is very helpful. I like Carbolin. I just find it digests well. It comes from rice and potatoes. The high branch cyclic dextrin. I don't know about you, Jay, and Robo. I know you take it. It started getting to my gut a little bit, and I had to switch off back into Carbolin. So I don't know if that's because I used it for so many damn years straight, where I had to go back over to Carbolin.
I love Gatorade. Gatorade's clean, no bloat,
Yeah.
really tastes good.
Gatorade bloats me. That's what
you can buy a 12-pack at the store, keep it in your fridge. I don't got to mix anything up. I just roll out with my Gatorade. You know what I mean? So, that's what I use. What is that? Probably mostly
dextrose.
Dextrose, yeah.
I think that if you're gonna go that route, you got intracarb. You definitely want to use your essential amino acids. I think creatine. I also think getting a pump. I think there's validity in like putting together pump stacks, which I would tell you to get on bulk nutrition and piece together like some L-citrulline, different things like that. Glycerol is a real good one that I like for hydration and so forth. And then, probably my last one, if you're going to go down the bodybuilding route of supplements, there's a product called Abolic. I really like it. And I know Jay does.
I like it.
It's really good for like turbocharging your gains because it helps with protein synthesis, stuff like that. And I think the price has come down. I don't think Dante is charging what it was before. But it just makes it a little bit harder, just helps with pumps.
It's got a nice anti-inflammatory effect to it too, if you look at some of those ingredients. So yeah, that's a cool little product. And it's nice too because women can use it. I've never had women like have any acne, hair thinning, really anything from it, but they definitely are like, yeah, this kind of feels a little bit like barb, So I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's probably one of my most favorite ones. That I think is underrated. I do like the omega-3s, like you said. I think that, like you said, it's a big bunch of questions. It's whatever your goals are is where you're going to want to put your 200. But I think in today's world, if you're looking for general health, then it's the omega-3s, the micronutrients, and the basics. Robo, what's your take from a general consumer out there? Curious.
Yeah, I can't tell exactly how much I spend, but I'll walk through what I actually take. So in the mornings, I'm taking protein, just the New Ethics protein powder. And then for working out, I take creatine, glutamine, and an intra-workout mix from Granite. Most mornings I'll take boron and then sometimes copper, usually copper every other day. Lunch, I'll hop on some magnesium. Then around dinner time, usually some zinc. And that's really about it, man. Nothing too crazy.
Are you still dosing the iodine?
Maybe once a week. I don't do it near, every day or as often. I've gone over and above on getting iodized salt in my diet. And so I don't dose too much iodine.
Do you have a sluggish thyroid? Is that why you were doing it?
He was doing it for the mental clarity.
Yeah, I mean, I know Jeff started copper and then took iodine. I did iodine first and then took copper. Within 4 days of taking the iodine, man, my brain fog was gone.
Nice.
And then after introducing copper, after about a week or two, my stamina mentally was significantly increased. So huge benefits there, but taking them every day, the benefit hasn't really changed as I've weaned off them and take them intermittently now.
Yeah, I think once you build
iodine, basically though, related through thyroid. I mean, is that why it makes someone feel less brain fog because it basically brings up the body? Or is there something else going on there, Jeff, that you recommend?
Yeah, because it's helping with the thyroid, which is going to help with the energy output. So there was actually there's a study in one of the books I was reading talking about iodine, and women who use iodine, like have higher iodine intakes, have babies with higher IQs.
The brain grows better when
so it makes sense. I've always just got mine from Redmond's Real Salt with iodine, and then I take the Thyro Boost, which I've talked about many times from New Ethics. By the way, discount code Relentless10. Don't go see Jason's page. She makes enough from y'all. Now, while we're on the topic of copper, what did you notice from that, Robo, when you took it? Because I've had a lot of people message me, and you're an athlete, so that makes sense. And I'm like, well, no, I've actually had gym pop people who've tried it and say it works too. So I was just curious what your thoughts were on copper and what you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, when you start low, 1 to 2 grams, you're going to get a little nauseous. At least I did. The assumption is that's detoxing of fluoride in your system, the copper attaching to the fluoride, then being passed through. Or at least that's what I read. I have no idea. But slowly eking up, I didn't really start feeling a difference until I hit about 10. At that point, I saw a little bit of acne, random zits that I'd never had before in weird places. It would be, in the middle of the back of my calf. Again,
Yeah.
part of the detox, supposedly. And then after, a few weeks, that goes away. And I was already experiencing more mental endurance. So I sit at a computer for so long and I would fade after about an hour or so. I was cranking out 2, 3, 4 hours multiple times a day as I needed to. And then I backed it off. And I only, when I take somewhere in the range of about 6, at this point, and that's more than enough. I still have those benefits for the most part.
I agree 100%. I wrote about that recently. I got as high as 24 and then I didn't notice really any difference. All people, it's so funny. People are like, oh, that stuff's bad for you. I'm like, you know how hard it is to get 1 milligram of copper a day? Like if you really track it, it's a little bit harder than you
Yeah.
think. You sweat up out up to a gram of copper a day if you do intense exercise, which we all do. And then the death rate, what was it, 20,000 milligrams, Hommel talk. So Robo read the same book I did, The Copper Revolution by Jason Hommel, Scoob, if you want to check it out. The guy just pulled together a bunch of basically information and gave it to you and said, hey, here's a synopsis of all this shit. But he talked to, what was it, 20,000 milligrams was the lethal dose that they killed themselves in India with or something like that.
They tried and they were not successful.
Not successful. So then why the fuck would taking 4 milligrams really affect you? And that's why I've always put to use when like I've gone looking at supplement stuff before y'all think we're crazy about the
But you got to make sure you got your zinc with that, because I mean copper, zinc,
and I hit 20 for about, I don't know, 3 months, and then started lowering it just to test if there was any different. But I maxed out at 20, never really had an ill effect that I could tell.
Yeah, they say it's like you're supposed to take like 50 milligrams of zinc if you're like 8 copper or something like that, I think is what it was the ratio. So anyway, well, I thank you for sharing that, because that's helpful for other people out there. So if you have some brain fog, you need some mental clarity, look into iodine and look into copper. Definitely, I would start at iodine first. And if you get a little nauseous, don't worry, it's your detoxing fluoride. Which, if you guys want to see a long carousel, I will put it up on Instagram about fluoride. I made 9 long pages about it because I had to go read about it. But it's some really fucked up shit. It's like basically a toxic waste that they put in our water where it sources from. So anyway, Robo, is there any software you recommend to run a business, or how would you go about selecting one, I guess, for a business?
QuickBooks, 100% when you're getting started, use it. It's the easiest thing. It's simple and it tracks your finances. You don't have to use all the functionality, but that's number one. Once you get that set up to track basic finances, early on, you can manage most customers through Excel. You don't need to invest a bunch of money in a fancy Excel or a fancy CRM. But once you start to get to scale, you're going to need some sort of CRM to track. CRM being customer relationship management software. That's going to depend on your industry. I mean, usually if you go do some research, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 leading ones for your industry. Look at reviews, talk to the people, have them show you through. The sales guys will do demos. Pick whichever one is most intuitive. Even if it costs more, just always go with the one that's most intuitive to you, because that means the person probably designing it thought the same way you did. Outside of QuickBooks and CRM, it's just going to depend on what you need, what industry you're in, what makes sense.
That's some actually really good advice, man.
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to kick this one off with you. Do you actually, real quick, Scoot, do you use any of that software, customer relation? We use Pipeline Pro for like the gym and Relentless. I didn't know if you guys used any of that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Businesses we think would be cool to get involved in outside of what we normally do. That's an interesting topic.
Well, I mean, there was an electrician here the other day installing stuff, and I asked him if he was gonna ever create his own company, and he thought maybe, yeah, and I thought, hey, that'd be interesting to invest in. I don't know a goddamn thing about it, but thought it'd be cool. I don't know. I haven't had too many other thoughts. I would like some things outside of fitness. My main things right now outside of fitness are just real estate, commercial properties. I don't know. What about you guys? What have you thought about?
Oh, Rob, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always shopping to buy businesses, just the nature of what I do. I see so many that I always think, oh, this is interesting. I might like this. I don't care as much about exactly what the business does as how it functions. I like ones where you get paid in the moment when you complete the work and it's a repeatable service. Uh, things like lawn care, it's a little bit too often for me, but that would be a good example. You get paid in the moment when you do it, so you don't have really any working capital that you have to carry, and it's repeatable, so it's a subscription model. Things like that, super interesting. I mean, you could go even as far as pool cleaning, window cleaning, stuff like that is super interesting. If I, made a shit ton of money and just had some to blow away on an investment, I read about a company out of Washington that created something that is able to break down PFFAs finally. So they had the hardest time. They couldn't figure out how to break them down. They now went with PFFA tainted water in a mine up in Montana. They're able to break it down so that it's no longer poisonous. It's basically all the chemicals are inert except the water. That's where I'd want to put my money. That's a future. We got to break down all the shit we've created.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's some good shit. Peter DeMantis talked about that.
Yeah.
And I know a couple others. For me, I'd like to do an auto shop, I think, and just have it like dedicated to just like high-end sports cars. Like,
I know what mine is. You just said that. Finish up. Sorry.
yeah, and I like that one. And then the other one, I would really like to like buy a counseling group and like instruct the counselors to be like, we're here to actually like give people advice, not the usual bullshit that people give people when they come for counseling and therapy that leads people nowhere, and like we want positive outcomes. I really want to stretch that and so forth. I don't know. I'm fascinated by the way that current psychology and stuff is going. And I think I'm caught up in it because I'm seeing psychedelics on the horizon. And all I see is a bunch of fucking people not prepared for what this one medicine can actually really do to people. And I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the fallout of it. And because it makes you get true to yourself. Like you all have tripped, you can't lie to yourself. So if these therapies can be integrated, you can't keep feeding people the same amount of bullshit that they've been fed. So I feel like it's going to hit a cross section of where the fuck they've actually going to change how they advise people.
Yeah.
It's like Goodwill Hunting when Robin Williams finally starts talking back to, what is it, Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
It's what needs to happen more often.
Yeah, it needs to. Some people just need to be corrected and just be like, that's stupid. Don't think like that. That's actually dumb as shit. Bev, this older lady who's like my mom, she's 69 and she goes, it is my duty and a service now to tell people when they're stupid. And I'm just like, amazing.
Is she a therapist?
No,
she's retired, which is funny.
She does tell people when they're stupid often.
Yeah,
she's very outspoken.
She's cool as shit, man. She's in there every Monday.
Yeah, she's there in the mornings with us.
Dude, she had a stroke like 12 years ago on a Friday. Was back in the gym on Monday working out. Nice. Absolute animal. So anyway, what was your business you were saying?
So I had the car rewrapped recently and it looks phenomenal. I'd love to own part of a wrap business. Like, dude, it's like 5Gs and you got like a brand new car. Like it literally feels like a brand new car to me. It's an amazing business. I can't imagine the materials are that expensive. Like that wrap, it can't be that expensive. It's the skill that comes with it and the time, of course. But I don't know. I think owning that would be a really cool business. And I don't know the economics of it at all, but I think it'd be a really cool business to own.
Yeah, I would want to know the economics on that. I think that one's pretty cool. The guy down at one of the ends, what has he got, Jason? He's got like a pooping pickup business or something like that. Isn't that what he has at the end of my equipment shed?
Pickup business. Oh yeah, you're right. He does, but he did a franchise model. Like you don't need a franchise to pick up dog shit in a yard. So for all those people, don't buy into a franchise that you couldn't figure out how to do it on your own. That's absurd.
Yeah.
I've run into multiple businesses like that where they're making 200-300 grand off of 500 grand in revenue because it's just all profit, especially if you'll do some of the work yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also really do think like there's so many cool business ventures that you could really get into. And I think that's what makes like, I don't know, maybe capitalism, for lack of a better word, a really cool thing to observe. That you can kind of get into the mix wherever you so desire, as long as you're willing to pay a little bit of pound of flesh to make it happen. It's kind of interesting. What were you gonna
There's
say?
there's a family around here. Well, number one, I wouldn't want to be in the shit picking up business. That I'm just going on the record. There's a family around here that got extremely rich. Back in the 60s, they figured out a way to go around and I guess collect grease from all these fast food restaurants, and they turned it into some sort of fuel. I don't know what it is, some sort of fossil fuel, I guess. And so they basically were saying, we're going to dispose of this for you. But then they had this process. So they got paid a fee for freaking carrying this shit away. And then they turn around and convert it and sell it again. They're multi-millionaires. Like it's generational wealth. And that's what they did. Like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Do you guys think generational wealth's a good thing? Because I'll be honest with you, both my kids have run that fuck them kids for me. Like they're getting a little bit and like,
I think it's I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as you educate your kids, and I wouldn't give it to them. Like they would have like, you got to go to college and maybe you get like 50K to put down on a house. You got to get a job and hold it for 5 years. Maybe you get now 100K. Like they would have to get themselves through life, but it could help them further themselves. You know, they'd have money to invest in businesses and things just that other people don't have. So I'm not against it, but there's no way in hell I'd be like, oh, here's $5 million. You're 18 years old. Go have fun. You know, I think it would be milestones that they would get certain amounts of money to help them further in life.
I don't know. I think it makes the disparity between people in the country far worse. You have these people who grew up without understanding what a normal life is, without understanding what the vast majority of the population experiences, and you're just going to perpetuate that cycle. And unfortunately, these are the people who make the decisions at the top, or they pay the people who make the decisions at the top. It makes it worse. Generational wealth should be gone. You have to build, at this point, and the tax on estates.
Damn, are you a socialist, 50%.
Bro? No, I'm not a socialist. I'm a true capitalist. I think each person should have to work for it. I don't think you get to work for it and pass it to someone else who never has to work.
I'd say actually,
you said give it away. Like, what the hell? So if I had $50 million when I die, I can't give it to my kids under your plan. I have to give it away.
No, you have to give away half of it.
Nah, I can't get on board with that.
Yeah,
we definitely disagree on that. It's not my job to make my family feel the pains of other people if I got the means and I was smart enough to not make them go through that. We just differ on that for sure.
But if it's generational wealth, they have more than enough.
So this is
they'll live a great life for 25 million, right?
So this is where I kind of like sit. I think I said it in the in-between of you two. I am going to leave a certain amount to each kid. I have 3 that will be even, and that's it. And then the rest, I'm giving my wife, and then I hopefully will have that charity started before I depart this world. And it's on her, whatever she keeps accruing after that. I told her to pass it down and figure out what she wanted to do with it. I think that the kids only get a certain amount, but they don't need so much to leverage where they don't learn to appreciate the sweat equity involved to have it. So mine would probably release like at 40. Like, I'd be like, you get certain amount 25 to 15 fucking long years. You better go work to get that next little chunk nugget, or it's gonna be a long 15 years winter. But I don't know. I think you just got to have a little sweat equity to it. It's kind of my thoughts. So
100%.
All right. Last question. What are your guys' 2024 goals? Have you guys even thought about any?
Yeah, for sure. I think about it all the time.
Okay. Well, what are yours then?
Well, I think I'm definitely going to work on reorganizing inside of Scooby Health. I'm going to make sure that I set up some key KPIs and different metrics. I've talked about that. So I'm heading that direction. I want to play like a bigger role in education with the coaches. And to do that, I probably won't have as big of a client load, but we're going to build out the teams and continue doing that. But we got to give them more metrics and more education. I feel like every coach on my team should be as good as me, or if not better. And that's on me to be able to do that. But I can't with the load I have going on. So some things need to be restructured. And this is for the longevity of the company. And then as far as AVH goes, I have a lot of goals. We're going to roll out some different programs. We've partnershiped with law enforcement today. And we get access to about 7 million of their subscribers. And we're going to start helping police and veterans who need, different things that have been kind of taken from them from the stresses of their job or the stresses of service. So we're heading that direction with AVH. They'll still be in the fitness industry. I just don't want that to be exclusively what it does. And new ethics, we definitely are moving in the right direction. We know our direction. We tried some retail, we tried some things like that, and it's just not who we are. We're going to double down in the space that we're in and really, really get good at that. We'll probably have a practitioner line, certain things like that. So, as far as business goes, I'm definitely already crafting kind of where I want to go and starting the processes for sure. I think it's important to always have those types of conversations with yourself and your team and going forward. So there's probably some things I'm forgetting, but it's all in an effort to maybe build out a little more time for me. I went and saw my dad on Thanksgiving, and so we had to spend the Thursday there, my mom and I, and he's gotten to the point now where he doesn't know who I am. And he's only 73, and he never really spent his money. He worked and worked and worked, and she would say, "Hey, let's go take a trip. Let's do this." And, to him, I think they saved maybe $600,000, 700, wasn't a ton, but it's probably better off than some people in the country. And he wouldn't ever spend and enjoy it. And now he's to the point where he's in this building. He can't leave because if he leaves, he's totally confused. My mom can't take care of him. It's impossible to get him back. And that's his life. And so, you kind of get to the point when you're 45 and watching this, you're like, man, yeah, you got to keep saving for the future, but you need to start being able to live right now too. And work isn't probably the recipe. And so sometimes it takes you to kind of see those things. So I'm just taking the steps I need to maybe have a little bit more free time for myself, but not impact or hurt my businesses. And in fact, still move them forward. So.
Robo, what about you?
Yeah. As far as business, development goals, I usually only go out about 3 months at a time. And so in the first 3 months of next year, I'm planning to acquire a business. I have one that I'm just starting the conversations with now. We'll see if it works out, but if not, actively hunting a few others to see what works. Beyond that, my brokerage side is just blowing up right now. All the hard work is paying off. Now it's just about closing deals. So I don't necessarily have a specific one on that side, just keep grinding. Personal goals, I'm looking to get back into scuba diving, get what's called a dive master certification, and start taking a few more trips along those lines. It's just a side passion I really enjoy. I never really want to work in that industry, but I really want to dive once in my life with great white sharks. And I want to have a little bit better skill set when I do that.
Yeah, dude. Like, I love Shark Week. Those fuckers hunt you from like 200 feet down, Robo. You be flipped in the air and tossed like fucking little Shamu.
There's really only been one recorded attack on a scuba diver by a shark, and it wasn't a great white.
It was bull, right?
I don't actually know what type, but great whites generally don't attack scuba divers. It just doesn't happen. When you're under the water, they can see that you're not a nice juicy seal, and they just may swim by you, and that's about it.
Nice. Well, all right. Well, I'll send you with my GoPro so we can get this.
There you go.
I'm the same.
BD lines freak me the fuck out. Like, I can totally, like, handle being in a cage. Then with my luck, the cage wire is going to get bitten in half and would sink to the bottom of the ocean.
no.
It's
A
like
cage
open
is
water
cheating,
3
man.
again. I'm fucked, you know?
A
Yeah,
cage
I
is
mean,
cheating. Just drop in, man.
I think it's awesome that you have a passion for it. Man, it's definitely nothing I want to be down there with those
It's
motherfuckers. That's their world. I don't want to be in it.
Yeah. I've seen bull sharks up close. They've never bothered me. So why not go bigger?
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. So for me, I think my goal is just to get this hopefully the book will be out. So I'm just gonna say rough worst start. It isn't, book comes out. And then it's really kind of like I wrote my goal down, stay a student is what my number one goal is. So I'm about to enter an arena that I've never entered before. I'm about to hopefully get the opportunity to speak on other podcasts, speak with other minds, talk in front of people, really do some cool things, make some great connections. So I'm just trying to make sure I don't ground myself into too much of my thinking that I might normally do. So I don't miss this moment by. Relentless is in a decent spot. I have some things that I want to shake out there. Like I'm doing KPIs, like me and Jason talked about this, what we're doing in our companies, different things like that, just to really invigorate and kind of change where we're going. And the other thing is we're going to try to recruit more in-person coaches. More of a hybrid model is what we're going to really try to exploit with our brand. I think there's a need for it. And I have a big, nice fucking gym to be able to utilize this with. So I'm going to go for it on that end. I never wanted to be never want to be the king of the world. Just wanted to be the king of Nashville. And I have a chance to be able to make that happen over the next 10 years. Hopefully, not to sound too narcissistic, but I've done a really good job putting everyone in position to win. It's just a matter, do the people in the position actually win? So time will tell that. And I think personally, I'd like to just keep growing my male friendships, making sure they're good. And making sure I put my energy where I need to into those who I need to. I think that's something I could take away from this year. There were a few instances that I was like, fuck, I knew I should have just never wasted my fucking time at all. And there are those. And I think that having those conversations with myself, like who do I really want to be around? Who do I really want to chat with? Those kind of things, matter. It's hard for us guys, I know we're all three friends. Robo hangs out with us all the time. Me and him hang out here in Nashville. If you were here, Scoob, you'd probably hang out with us too. Sure. But that's a hard dynamic. And he'll tell you, we've been together for years, all of us hanging out. We've seen guys come and go, just can't keep that kind of commitment. So yeah. I told myself I wanted to make sure I work on those going into 2024, especially if things get busier for me. It's going to be more important than before. And I tend to be more of an introvert. So it's going to be a hard challenge. So we'll see, boys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, don't we have a trip coming up that we were going to plan this year?
It's next year. So for the guys' trip, it's the weekend after Labor Day. Destination will be revealed when I show the houses, but I found 4 houses that are north of 10 million each, and private pools, private hot tub, our 2 golf carts so we can ride around in. Like, it's literally would be a trip of a trip. So,
and that'll be some of your guys from that group, right?
Yeah, myself, Robo, Dan, people you've met before. There's no one I don't think you've met, maybe except for like Braden. Cade already gave his money to come.
Nice.
So Cade's coming, and Brandon DeCruz wants to come down. And Matt Chrisman's going to come. So there are a few people that'll be new. We'll see how it all goes, but the house is huge. And then we get down there Thursday, and then we would have our activity.
Can you tell us if it's all Florida, or are you looking at other states?
I might throw 2 options out there. We just don't know where it's going to go yet.
Got it.
All right.
I'm waiting to hear back on one that might be a cool sub option. It's just a matter, do we all want to do it or not? So, because it would require us to actually have to fly somewhere. Like, there's not, we can drive. Like, Jay, you could drive technically if you want to, because it's it's 7 hours for us, Robo. So it'd be 10.
Yeah, something like that.
Be long, but it wouldn't be terrible. You could fly if you really wanted to, right? But that's still a drivable drive. Where I was looking at isn't so much a drivable drive. I was looking, just so you guys know, I was going to see about Lake Havasu.
Oh yeah,
the week after, and see what that was kind of looking like.
I hear that's pretty badass.
I heard it was badass. I was like,
one of my coaches is out there too,
Jeremy Daniels.
Yeah.
And it popped in my head, and I was like, that might be an interesting spot to throw out, but it really kind of depends upon what kind of trip we want, things like that. I'm fine with Florida. And I thought about Lake Havasu. I just got to kind of research it and see how much of a pain in the ass. Because if it's like we got to get like 18 flights to get in, I'm out. So
Yeah.
I'm more direct and get in a car, and within an hour or two I could get there. That's fine to me. You know what I mean? But like if we're having to like hop, skip, jumps places, that sucks. So too many
Yeah.
chances from the cancel flights, dude. I don't risk it anymore unless it's a direct flight. I'm very, very sketched about taking it just because how it is. But anyway, we'll chat about that. But I'm so proud you remembered. That warms my little heart that you'll actually be able to attend one of our guys'
I
trips.
did, man.
I know. We'll bring lots of drugs to make sure it's a good time. Anyway, guys, well, it was a good week. I hope you all have yourself a good one. And next week, we have the ladies from Unnamed and Untamed, Sonia Spill, Sarah Bishop, and Meredith Pashy joining us. So it'll be a great conversation. I don't know what their topic is going to be, but it's probably going to be, or I think we have women in the fitness industry as a topic, like what they think of it and how it's evolved and where it's going to go. So those three ladies are really bright. So I think that'll be a good topic to have. So tune in, be sure to share our episode, rate us on Spotify, give us 5 stars because we're worth it. You know, you guys love meeting us and hanging out there with us when you guys see us. And be watching us on socials, guys. We are all going to share stuff and you're going to see the speakers. You're going to get another shot at the list. We're going to be doing it every week. So take care. If you guys need anything, hit us up. Bye.
Yeah.